What up, chat? It always takes a couple seconds for these to start the live, so I'm always concerned that I'm not actually on it, and I'm just talking to myself. But it looks like we're good. So, what's up, everyone in the chat? My name's Rob. I'm a gambling addict in recovery. Made my last bet November the 12th of 2022, and tonight I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about gambling, gambling addiction, addiction recovery. And if you're watching this on like a replay, you can ask it as a comment. Basically, whatever I can do to help. I spent 6 years gambling every single day for an average of like 8, 9, 10 hours a day. It was pretty much a mess. And so I want people to learn from my mistakes so they don't make the same ones and end up in the bad situations. What up, Colin? Happy to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in the chat. And of course, if you're here early, the number one way to support is by interacting with the stream. So it could be a comment like our friend Colin here, could be liking the stream, it could just be staring really hard at the phone. I don't know. But happy to have you all here. What's up, stranger? Happy to have everyone in the chat. And of course, if you have questions about gambling, gambling addiction, feel free to drop them. This is hopefully going to be a more casual stream, slower paced. So if that's not what you like, then you probably already left by now. But if that is what you like, then you're in the right spot. Be having my coffee over here. We got a lot more streaming to do tonight. It's going to be a long night. So anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if you're thinking, man, I don't want to put a question about gambling addiction, that'll make me look like a gambling addict. Well, you're on the gambling addiction channel. I'm the gambling addict. I'm happy to answer any question for one. For two, if you're thinking of a question, someone else watching this probably has the same one. What was my gambling game before? Sharma, thank you for the question. Basically, I started with daily fantasy sports competitions, and then it progressed and it became not only the daily fantasy sports, but also sports betting. Then it was casino games, then it was poker, then it was slots. By the end, it was everything. So even though it started out with sports betting, I was gambling on literally everything by the end. Does my family trust me with finances after the gambling problem? So, I mean, I would say yes, they do. But in fairness, I have my own finances, right? Like, I don't actually have my family's finances in the same situation, but no longer is anyone managing my finances like they were when I first quit. So, for those that don't really know me, when I quit gambling, there were four things that I did to get and stay clean. It was finding alternatives for my time that meant something to me, limiting my access to money that was tempting me by having someone control my bank account. It was my mom. Third was self excluding from casinos to make it more difficult to access the gambling, not impossible, but more difficult. And fourth was going to support group meetings for people who were trying to quit gambling. So those four things together made a big difference. How's Snorlax? For those that don't know, Snorlax is the name of my cat. I have a really cool t-shirt that I should wear on a stream. My brother got it for me for my birthday. It's a bunch of pictures of Snorlax, and it says Snorlax up top like that. So I'll wear it the next time I go live. If I'm not wearing it and you're here, just remind me. But he's doing good. All right, good question here. How has your relationship with sports changed? Do you still enjoy watching sports? So the relationship has definitely changed. I would say that before I started gambling, I thought I was a really big sports fan. During gambling, I thought I was the biggest sports fan on earth. And after gambling, I realized that somewhere along the way, it stopped being about the sport and it just became totally about gambling. And so what I realized was I'm not really a sports fan anymore. I became a gambling fan, and my preferred method of gambling was through the sports. I can still enjoy watching some of the bigger games, like a Super Bowl or a playoff game or a championship game. In fact, the World Baseball Classic, I watched a little of the Puerto Rico game. That was sick. It's just not like it used to be. I used to need to watch everything, and now I'll only watch the things that are like good entertainment. I'm not just watching it because I'm sweating out my bet, right? How do you convince your roommate to stop chasing his losses on sports betting? This is kind of a big question that people have, especially when their like wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, sister, brother has a gambling problem. The answer is you really can't, but you can lead a horse to water. You just can't make it drink. And so you're in a position where you want to help them and you see the correct thing for them to actually do to get better. But if you tell them to do it and then they perceive to have quit before a big win, they will blame you. So say you get him to stop chasing his losses, and then tomorrow night the Sixers play whoever, and he was like, "Oh man, I would have bet on the Sixers." He'll blame you, and resentment will form from that. So unfortunately, we're not in a position to get other people to stop, But what we can do is start having those conversations. Hey man, I see you're betting a little bit too much. Hey man, like, are you okay? Is everything all right? If it's not, like, you can feel free to talk to me. If you ever did want to stop, here's something that you could do. These are the kinds of things that you could do. But unfortunately, you can't take responsibility for other people's actions. You have to understand that if they don't want to stop, they're not going to stop. That's the sad part. Peter, thanks for this, my friend. For context, I only put the number of days in the chat because I want people to have like an understanding of how long it's been since I last bet. Because I look pretty young, they might be like, "Oh, would you stop gambling yesterday?" So I just tossed that in there. But thank you, my friend. It feels the same as day 100. I'll tell you that. But life continues to be life, regardless of if it's a good day or a bad day. You're now able to experience it in recovery. If you realize that you have gambling debts, one of the big things that you should avoid thinking is that you can solve it with a big win. Because I used to think that all the time. And I was like, man, I'll just win and then I'll stop. And I would win, I'd pay off the debt. And then sooner or later, whether it was the next day, the next week, month, I was in a worse debt. Because when it comes to this, there's never a big enough win to satisfy us. And all wins eventually become future losses. So we end up in bad positions. The cat is gonna start screaming and run down the hallway, so if you do hear that, no worries, he's just being a cat. That is what they do. Do I still attend GA? When I get the chance to, my friend. I do a lot of content and I do a lot of podcasts where I'm listening to people's stories. I know it's not a meeting, but it does mimic the feeling of a meeting. And so I do my best when I'm specifically home visiting family to try to get to my group. But I will say it's been a less traditional recovery in terms of my day to day than it was word vomit than it was when I first quit gambling, which was going to a group meeting religiously like every week. What causes relapsing? Patrick, good question. It could be many different things, and it's going to be different for every person. But some of the common things that I hear are when people feel like they don't have enough money and they have to get it back right away. When they have too much money and now they feel comfortable and they can bet just a little bit, and then it ends up spiraling. They get bored. They get angry. There's a fight with a girlfriend or a relationship ends, and they use gambling as a coping mechanism. So what's important is that you're planning for negative things. Not that you expect negative things, but that if a negative thing happens, you know what to do in that situation. And so think next time I'm bored, I will go for a walk. Next time I'm sad, I will call my friend. Instead of next time I'm sad, we'll see what happens. And then all of a sudden, you're on a sports book. We get lots of comments like this, so I actually like addressing them because it gives me something to do. It makes me feel. So, if people want to do things, let them. You're no better for profiting off people's addictions. So, if people want to do things, let them. Let's start with that sentence. Absolutely. If you don't want to quit gambling, there's absolutely nothing that I can do for you. You can try to hear stories, and maybe that's entertainment, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to quit, have at it. You do what you want to do. But profiting off of other people's addictions. If I was doing this to profit, then what I would do is just sign up for a casino, start streaming myself playing on that, and get you to sign up with a referral code. It's really not very lucrative to make videos about not gambling, but go on thinking whatever you may want to think. For those that are interested in stopping, you're in the right spot, and I hope that you can learn from my story so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did because life was kind of shit. How do you navigate how slow it feels to rebuild? Um, this is tough because there's no like magic cure for it. It's kind of a mindset shift that happens over time. It's gonna feel horrible, and you just need to be okay with feeling horrible because we're used to having everything happen really fast, good or bad. Now everything happens really, really slow. There's no way to speed it up because speeding it up inherently means taking more risks and trying to do bad things again, gambling again. So it's not like how do you navigate it? It's just, can I accept that this is reality? And can I find positive things to cling to along the way while my brain heals? Because eventually it's not going to feel that way. It's going to feel good again. You're going to feel fine. But it might not feel so good in the beginning, to be fair. Thank you, my friend. I get lots of interesting comments on this channel, so it's nice to get some good ones. So if you're enjoying the content, if you're feeling like it's providing value in your life, just leave a like on the video. It helps more people to find it, gets it pushed out there, and hopefully someone can come across it that genuinely might have needed the help. At least once, if not several times before, you've talked about athletes facing verbal abuse over sports bets that didn't win. Have you yourself interviewed any such athletes about this? I talked to one guy who was a basketball player in Europe, but it wasn't really a main part of his story. So, to answer the question like super directly, I really haven't talked to an athlete who's experienced significant abuse. I've ancillarily, if that's the word, like through osmosis, had heard stories about it, but I think it would be a cool topic. It's actually one that I'm going to write down because I do think it would be a good topic. Athlete who has suffered abuse. I'll see if I can find one that's willing to share their story. GA and recovery is spiritually focused. What are your thoughts on this? Totally. Absolutely. I think that it's literally like one of the first steps is like admitting to yourself and to a higher power, like you're powerless over this, right? Um, the thing is, I think that when we think of spirituality, we assume that it has to be religious. And I don't find that to be necessary or the case at all. Now, GA, as it's written, is very Christian oriented. And so that turns people off. They're like, oh, it's Christian. I don't want to go to it. I'm not a Christian, blah, blah, blah. I think it's more used as an excuse not to actually get the help. But in terms of this idea of like a higher power or some type of spirituality, what I think it actually is like, hey, you've been turning inward for so long. Can you find something outside of yourself to aspire to, believe in, or trust so that you can actually get better? And it doesn't have to be a God. It could be a sense of community. It could be a group of friends. Like it doesn't have to be God. And I think that's where the line it needs to be drawn in terms of explaining it. But it's certainly spiritual, 100%. Am I frugal? No, not anymore. But I used to be when I was gambling because hey, like money that I'm spending could be money that I put up on a bet, doubled, and then I can spend it. Then it's okay. A lot of like I will spend after X, I will spend after Y kind of things when I was gambling. Hope you're having a good day, my friend. Thank you for the love. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everyone that's dropping comments so far. We're going to be going for the whole hour, so we're only 12 minutes in. So if you were not really doing anything, I'm happy to have you. If you are doing something, you can head out. It's all good, but I'm happy to have you here. Let's see. I'm a friend of the recovery community, but I have to ask, are you under the impression that professional poker players don't exist? I think that the idea of what a professional poker player is needs to be formalized because what we're missing in that statement is how much additional help they receive to the actual poker playing, right? So if you take a player like Phil Ivey, who's like a top poker player in the world, top, some would say the best of all time, if he wasn't backed by significant financial means, he would not have been able to sustain the times that he goes through negative variance. And so while there are people who are professionals, they are not just singular people sustaining themselves off of the gambling. They are people who continue to gamble through adversity because they are funded enough to get through that point. And that's what I think is the point of differentiation. Because you can just say, oh, they don't exist, and then you can get into an argument over it. They wouldn't exist solely from the gambling. And I think that's what's important. Wesley, what's up, my friend? I know we had a chat. Did we ever put it on the calendar? Please reach out. Thank you for the gift. No need to send any gifts, guys, but I just wanted to reply to this comment. Just reach out to me. I don't remember if we ended up putting it on the calendar. Is it better to lose a friend who still gambles? As a worst case scenario, like if someone's in your life and all they're doing is dragging you down, dragging you back into something that you're trying to quit, putting you into bad situations, like that's not really a friend, right? But have a conversation first because if you never tell that friend like, hey, I'm trying to stop gambling, can we talk about something else, then like how would they ever know to stop, right? So as a worst case scenario, if that person's continuing to drag you down, then yes, but I don't think it's necessary in order to recover if you're being open and honest and they're respecting that. Oh, welcome, Wendy. Happy to have you on the channel. How do you stop taking money to the casino when you get paid and don't pay bills first? Then you mentioned you feel numb after you lose the money. Thanks so much. Wendy, I believe that the way you're structuring this question is such that you're asking me how you can stick to a particular budget when you go and gamble. If that's not the case, please correct me. The way that I'm reading it is like, oh, how can I, stop spending so much? How can I stop going overboard when I get paid? Now, I don't believe that a gambling addict can gamble normally. So if that's the case, then I think we're asking the wrong question. But let's take the question apart for a second and say that it's how do I stop gambling. Every time I get tempted, every time I get paid. And that I would defer to the four things that I focused on to stop gambling and stay clean since November 12th of 2022. Finding alternative things to do with my time that mean something to me, limiting my access to money that would tempt me. So in this case, very relevant, having someone manage the bank account so that you don't have access to it to immediately act on the urge. Third is self-excluding from the casinos, making it more difficult to access the gambling itself. That's banning yourself from playing there. And fourth is going to support group meetings filled with other people trying to stop gambling. Considering joining the army to take your mind off of it. This is very interesting, and this is probably not what you wanted to hear. But out of every subgroup of people in the United States, the group that has the highest rate of gambling addiction are the military. There's more slot machines on military bases than almost anywhere else on Earth, outside of like the big gambling cities. It's a very, very large gambling community. So I understand the sentiment of going somewhere or doing something to get your mind off of it. I wouldn't recommend the army if you're trying to stop gambling. What's up, Matthew? Happy to have you in the chat. Happy to have everyone here that is returning, that is new. My name's Rob. I'm in recovery from a gambling addiction. Made my last bet November the 12th, 2022. If you want to avoid making the same mistakes with your life that I made with mine, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We put out content literally every day. Literally every day, almost every day for a long form video too. Like we're freaking tired over here, but number one way to support is just by being here, and hopefully you get benefit out of it the way that we do. I've heard this book many times. I've never read it personally, so I don't have an opinion on it. Thank you, JV. I appreciate this. And that's kind of the overlap audience that we've been really, really trying to figure out how to reach. How do we find people that aren't gambling addicts, but possibly gamble casually or know someone that gambles in a way that's dangerous and have them get benefit from the content that we create? So thank you for being here. I hope that we're able to continue to reach that audience. It's very hard. Like, this is just a quick aside. It's very hard to make content about gambling addiction that people want to watch, believe it or not, because it's really not happy content, right? And I guess people want to watch sad content too, but then you have to play into the idea of like, oh, the biggest losses, the horror stories, right? It's hard to reach an audience talking about this topic, and that's why we have to be so consistent over here. So your support really does go a long way, guys. Let's see. Mm. I don't pay 14 bucks for my haircut. I pay 10, actually. So it's a long going deal with my mom's hairdresser. Been going since I was a kid. Not gonna stop. Literally goaded. And I can drop your info if you're ever want to stop hating, but feel free to come around. Sam, I really don't find that counting the days does much for me. It certainly did in the beginning. Now I just do it to provide context to the audience. But when I was first stopping, there's a lot of pride to be had at like the 90-day, the 6 month, the 1 year mark. Like those are really good days to reach big milestones. But after a certain amount of time, it all kind of just feels the same, to be honest. But you get there, and it's just like, no, it doesn't really help me, to be honest. But if it's something that like really helps someone, like I recommend that you do whatever it is that gives you that sense of pride. Pixel, I'm sorry to hear about some big losses. The martingale strategy is the one where you double your bet over and over, and the cat's going crazy now. The idea is to kind of limit how much you're losing, but of course, in the end, it does eventually reach a point that everything kind of falls apart. So I am sorry to hear that. I hope that the content can be helpful. And if you're someone that's trying to quit gambling, in the description, there's actually a video called How I Quit Gambling. It's a little bit longer, but I think it's worth the time if you're like really wanting to stop. I share basically everything that I've done for the last 3 years plus to get and stay clean from gambling. Just wanted to say you make great content. Thank you, my friend. Found the channel 6 months ago, and it made you more mindful and conscious of the gambling. Today, I'm much more aware of the impact. Well, that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear this. The idea of like gambling awareness is not something that a lot of people do. There's a lot of people that do prevention work, which is like, how can we stop people from developing a problem? There's a lot of people that do recovery work, which is when someone's quit, how can I help them get better? Well, there's not a lot of people that try to push like mainstream videos and podcasts about gambling stories. And so, Gotham, thank you for this because we're trying something new and hopefully it reaches people. How do you have a healthy emotional relationship with money as an ex gambler? Stephanie, good question. The easy answer for me to say is that your relationship with money gets better with time because you realize how much everything costs. You start to budget, you start to actually stick to your word, and it gets better. I guess the more difficult answer is understanding that you're measured by more than the money, and the pace that you were earning and losing is unrealistic. And what I mean by that is like when you are in the midst of the gambling addiction, you might think your only worth in life is your net worth, like how well you're doing. But when you get into recovery, the money just becomes kind of your lifeline, your survival. You want to make more, you want to earn more, and you want to keep more. But I've found that my relationship with it has changed from like a scoreboard to security, if that makes sense. And it just kind of happens over time as you make the right decision over and over again. Patricia, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the live. We get lots of comments, some good, some bad. That is the life of making YouTube videos. That's the life of making social media content. Thank you for the kind words. It's the good stuff. Let's see. Mm, let's see. If you're 24 years old or any age and you have gambling debt, you're in the exact right spot. My name's Rob, and I'm in recovery from a gambling addiction. I made my last bet November the 12th of 2022. Since then, I've made it my mission to create content about gambling addiction and about my story in hopes to have you avoid going down the same path that I did. If you want to stop gambling, check out the video that's linked in the description. It lays out literally everything that I did to stop. Like, stop watching the stream, go and watch that video because it walks you through exactly what to do. And like I genuinely believe in what I recorded. So, do the gambling urges ever go away? Patricia, they go away in their severity and intensity, but you are always going to be a gambling addict if you have a gambling addiction. They're like, I'm not waking up and I'm like, I'm tempted to gamble, but every once in a while I'll feel impatient and I'll be like, oh, I have to check myself. Or like I'll exhibit tendencies that I used to exhibit during the active addiction. So I'll say yes, they go away, but they're never fully gone. So you need to always just be prepared. And instead of fearing them, just think when I experience X feeling, I will do Y. Just make it a math problem. When I am bored, I will call a friend. When I am sad, I will go for a walk. That's it. That's how you beat a gambling urge. It's being prepared for it ahead of time. It's not trying to make them never happen again. What do you think should be done to get the message out that gambling addiction can affect anyone in the world and it's not a social problem only in countries X, Y, and Z? That's difficult because gambling is so vastly different in every country. I think the feeling is the same, but the types of gambling are different and the way it's talked about and reflected on is different. So a worldwide approach to gambling recovery or gambling addiction awareness is very, very difficult. I guess the only approach is through interviews of every nationality, right? To get like a full like anthropological showing. Wow, I'm using my college degree. That's insane. I make YouTube videos for a living. I have an anthropology degree, which for those that don't know is basically, and I'm guessing here because I don't know how I got this degree to be fair. It's basically the study of human nature and how it varies across regions. And so you would need just a set of interviews to be fair of like every different location. Let's see. Last month, I lost my salary thanks to your videos. I didn't gamble yet for the last 5 weeks. Congratulations, my friend. Even if people not say good things, trust me, I'm doing good work. I appreciate that. I really do. And that's what it's about, right? You show up, you just do the next right thing, and you hope that it reaches people. You just hope that it keeps reaching people. Mm. Monastery in Himalayas is better than the army. Don't do it, dude. That's fair. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, is I'm gonna bounce to some of the more recent comments. I see that I've gotten myself like 8 minutes behind. And so if I did miss your comment, please just drop it again. I must have been on the craziest yap session of all time. My God. I'm 27, just turned 27. I do have control over my finances at this point, but in the beginning, it was basically like getting an allowance. I asked myself, why did I want to gamble? Out of boredom, anxiety, fun. You have many options to find those feelings elsewhere. Yes, gambling is kind of like the cheap answer. Cheap, not financially, but like effort wise, to a lot of these desires that we have for fun, for pleasure, for escape, whatever it might be. Um, but the problem is that it comes with a lot of downsides and a lot of negatives. And eventually, if you develop a gambling problem, you reach a point that the negatives outweigh the positives. And that's the point in which people usually try to stop. I didn't feel like I worked for free. I get this. I used to deliver pizza, and when I was delivering the pizza, I'd be betting on my phone, and I would lose more money during the shift than I would make. It's a horrible feeling, but it only stops when we finally leave gambling behind. I did it for literally years, bro. Like, I get it. Cordy, what's up, my friend? Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks for showing up and dropping a comment. Mhm. What's up, my friend? How we doing? I know we got one scheduled for what, April, or we didn't put it on the schedule yet. Send me a message, get that on the calendar, or I will forget. But I hope you're doing well. I just forget everything very quickly. If it's not on the calendar, it's not real. It's basically the truth. Heard you said that all wins are future losses. Absolutely. That is absolutely the motto that I believe in. So it doesn't matter if you go back to gambling and win a bet, or if you didn't make a bet that you otherwise would have won, because you're eventually going to lose that money back anyway. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the worst cope I've ever seen, my friend. Please, I hope that you're just kidding. That poly market is a safer alternative. I think they're absolute shitballs, and they're going to cause a lot of damage. It's all just gambling. Where can I gamble in California? Just save the page, bro. Come back when you're ready. I will help you. You like the office design? My girlfriend made it, so thank you. I'm gonna have it for at least a couple more months. I don't know where I'll end up moving, but we'll try to rebuild it the same way. We've tried a couple of variations, and some of them were a little goofy. If you guys have seen some of the older videos, we used to have two neon signs like right here, and it was actually like very difficult to see my face. And if you could see it, it was actually very pale. So we fixed the lighting problem. So I'm glad that you like it. The worst thing is sometimes I check the tennis or football that's on and I feel like I have an edge. Then I see the bet go in, I didn't place it and get tilted again. Well, all wins are future losses. So, like, say that you one, all right, let's break this down. One, you don't have an edge. That's a lie you're telling yourself. But two, let's say you place the bet and you win. What are you going to do next? Are you going to close the app, withdraw the money, delete it, and run off into the sunshine? Or are you gonna bet on the next football match or the next tennis match? And eventually, that money that you won, you're gonna lose it back. And that's where the saying comes from that we go by on this channel, that all wins are future losses. Because you could go back right now and you could win a bet, but you're not gonna win the bets. You're going to eventually lose it. Do you think people gambling is a recession indicator? I mean, we've been in a recession for a very long time. I do think there's a correlation between people in desperate financial situations and gambling. Gambling tends to disproportionately affect lower income people. That's been the historical trend. But with sports betting, we've seen that shifting into the middle and upper classes, and that's why it's become big news. Like, gambling's been beating the crap out of poor people forever. Like, the lottery is disproportionately spent on by people from lower income communities. But now that sports betting is this big thing and it's impacting like upper class people, now it's newsworthy. But yeah, it's not good. We'll say that. What did my girlfriend think about my addiction? Did she consider leaving me because of it? So my girlfriend that I have now never dated me during my active addiction. We actually recorded a podcast and it's going to be coming out in a couple weeks where we go into this exact topic. The girl that I was dating during my gambling, yeah, we're not dating anymore. So it's not that people were like, ew, you're a gambler, but it's like when you're hooked to gambling, you don't care about what other people want. You don't care about anything. If you're losing, if you have action on, you're constantly living a distracted life. And so I don't know anyone that would want to date someone that's like that, you know? I do not. So gambling for me is defined as follows: any betting or wagering for self or others, whether for money or not, no matter how slight or insignificant, where the outcome is uncertain or depends upon chance or skill. So poker is gambling. I think poker is most definitely gambling. People don't talk about how isolating gambling is. Yeah, because it becomes your preferred sense of everything, your preferred source of everything, rather. Like, you don't want to hang out with other people because you'd have more fun if you were just at home gambling, right? It is what it is. To the tennis comment guy, I made a bunch of money on Kalshi. Rob will say I'm a future loser. Ferrays or Foaris, I don't have to say anything. You've already said it yourself. Just come back when you're ready. This idea of I have control, I have management. I used to like pick fights with people that like said that kind of thing, but I genuinely just feel sorry for them now. The illusion, the mental gymnastics that you have to go through to think that you have more management skill or self control or strategy than the next guy is insane. It's really just a matter of time. If you have bankroll management, you're just going to lose your money slower. Your mate goes every day. I don't get it. Well, they could be hooked. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. When you're hooked to gambling, it actually changes your brain, and it feels like gambling is the only thing that gives you the sense of joy. It actually is horrible. Like, it replaces every other thing in your life. How old was I when I stopped? So November the 12th, 2022, I would have been 23 years old. How long did it take me to get started saving, living normal? Probably like 6 months before I paid off the debt. Another 6 months before I was like kind of in an okay spot. Did I have any money or savings when I stopped? No, no, I did not. The last day that I gambled, I put myself into debt for the next 6 months, working like 70, 80 hour weeks, two jobs. Mm. One of the biggest issues I faced with gambling is that it gave me a sense of purpose. I can relate to this. I thought I was going to be a professional. I was going to prove everyone wrong. I was going to be the big winner. Yeah, you see how that works out. Now I have a channel talking about not gambling. Why is it hard to walk away after a big win, especially if that's what you've been planning as your exit? Because there's never a big enough win to satisfy the compulsive gambler. We keep having these mental justifications to continue placing bets because when you get addicted to gambling, you're not gambling for the wins and losses anymore. You're gambling to gamble more. So a win is really just more ammunition in your belt so you can keep going. I think that's really the problem with it. My 1099 disagrees with you. Well, buddy, whether it's a 1099, a 101, a 203, I don't care. Just come back when you're ready. I used to fight with people online. Now I just feel sorry for them. I've become old, I think. I like going out during the day and going to sleep at like a normal time. I don't even like fighting with people that much. I used to love it. It used to like, oh, it used to give me a lot of joy to fight with people in the comments. Now it's just like, I don't know, maybe I've just become jaded with it. It's just not that fun anymore. I just feel bad. How long does it take for your dopamine to reset from the gambling brain? It can take different time depending on, how long you were gambling, what your brain structure is, genetics and stuff like that. I think I remember hearing it was like an average of 3 to 6 months for your brain to kind of reset back to a normal baseline. Uh, I think that's kind of what it is. What are you defining as like down bad? Like things that they've done to gamble? Because if it's like dollar amounts, I never really talk about dollar amounts on the channel because I find that people will hear an amount, compare to it, and use it as like a justification. So like if I lost more than you, you might say, "Oh, well, Rob lost more, so he's an addict and I'm not." Or if I lost less, it's like, "Oh, Rob didn't lose as much as me." It's like this weird like pissing contest. I don't know. Mm, let's see. Every time I think about giving up gambling, I get depressed. I want to stop, but I need to find something else constructive to do to overcome the boredom that brings on the depression. Well, that's great self awareness to know that you do need to find something else constructive to do. And it's hard to say like what that might be because for me, I tried a bunch of random shit. Like I was going to hot yoga, the gym, writing, journaling, meditating. Like I tried it all and nothing really felt good. It felt very performative. But then I started to make videos about my addiction and I actually felt like I was doing something with my time. Like I was making a difference with my time. And so what I would say to do is just experiment with a bunch of different things that you think are healthy or could lead to a constructive outcome and see which ones feel good. And they don't need to feel like, the clouds part and the sun is shining on you, right? But it can feel like, hey, like I feel good about that. I feel proud of that, something like that. And then stick to it, even through boredom, even through feeling like it's not as fun as gambling. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Absolutely. I used to really though. I used to love like beefing with people in the comments, especially on live streams. I was like, I have like that ADHD brain where like I'll rapid fire off so many things, and by the time I finished, like the number of times someone would say like, "Whoa, man, I was just kidding," or "Whoa, man, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean it," like. But then I realized I didn't get anything out of it. Right? It didn't make me more likable. It didn't make more people want to get help on the page. Like all it did was just roast some kid who's probably already sad. So I tried to stop fighting with people. I tried quitting thousands of times, tried GA, nothing's helping me. Whenever I quit, I just relapse after a few days. All right, Pixel, what else have you tried? You went to a group meeting. I hear that. What else have you tried to do to stop gambling? Because I'll hear like, oh, I tried everything. I tried thousands of times. I tried everything and nothing worked. But then I'll say like, oh, well, did you have someone manage your money? No. Oh, well, did you download a blocking app like a Gamban to actually make it more difficult to gamble? No. Did you start a business or do something with your time that gave you a sense of meaning? Oh, no, actually, I just kind of sat around bored. Like, what have you tried doing? Because a lot of times we think we've tried everything, but then we really haven't. What do I think gambling is constructive? You mean destructive? If it's destructive, then the reason that it's destructive is because it creates a pattern in your brain that makes you think that gambling is the only thing that's going to bring you joy. Over time, you begin to push other things aside in favor of continuing to gamble more. And eventually, it becomes the only thing that you want to do to get a sense of pleasure. And you will literally live a shell of the life that you deserve to live, chasing endlessly after a feeling that you'll never quite actually reach. Yeah, that's kind of why. How do you get over the regret of relapse? So if you had a relapse, study it. Like figure out what is it that happened that made me have this relapse? Was it that I was bored? Was it I was angry? Did I have too much access to money? What was it that caused the relapse? And then instead of feeling bad about it, practice. Say next time I feel this thing, I will do this thing. Turn it into a learning lesson, and that's how I think you get over the regret. I mean, it's gonna suck, you're gonna feel mad about it, and that's okay. You just keep pushing forward. Download a Gambam, but there's a way to delete it. Gave my father access to money, change the password. None of that helps. So all right, one, when it comes to something like a Gamban, it's to make it more difficult to access. It's a roadblock. If you're gonna want to gamble, then you're maybe not even ready to quit gambling. The next thing is if you gave your father access to the money but changed the password, why did you have access to change the password? That was an ineffective means of giving him the money. It was kind of just like a token way of doing it. And in fact, it was probably done just to make you look better to the dad. So if you want to actually do it, maybe that means the money isn't in an account under your name anymore. Maybe you are like a subsidiary under that account. It could mean like literally making it impossible to access the money without him signing off on it. Like there's always a further step. And I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying there if you had access to change the password, then that really wasn't doing anything at all, you know? Okay. So a couple plugs while we wait for some more questions. So if you're enjoying the content, if you're getting value out of it, the number one way that you can support is to subscribe to the channel. Let me see what we at. We are at 36,727. Yeah, we got 36,727 here on the channel. Would love to have that up to whatever one more is, if that's you. So feel free to join this community, become a subscriber. Additionally, this video is not technically sponsored, but linked in the description is Right Choice Recovery. They're a family-owned and operated treatment center in northern New Jersey, specializing in gambling addiction. And they basically sponsor most of the content here on the channel. And so if you're interested in getting help, the link to them is down below. Let's see. I'll do that now. Thanks. Well, I'm glad that something productive can come out of my rants. It's always like, what's the next step that we can take to make this more restrictive or more severe? And I'm confident that you'll be able to find another job, and I hope that you're able to find it really quick. Is the first month the hardest? It can be, Kyler, but like a lot of people are broke the first month. Like, hey, I don't actually have any money to gamble, so I'm not tempted to gamble, kind of thing. I think that it becomes really difficult when you're at like the 3 to 6 month mark and life is starting to get a little bit better and you have a little bit more money on you, then I think it becomes a bigger problem. Um, I would say, yeah, when you have like more temptations to gamble is the hardest. Talk about why you and other recovering gambling addicts discourage watching other people gamble. Yeah, let's talk about like the streamers and stuff. Because at first I was like, oh, that's better than losing your own money, and I still think like yeah, that is yes, but it's not good. And the reason that it's not good is because your brain is living vicariously through them. When it's watching the spins, when it's watching the blackjack hands, watching the poker hand, you're living through their experience and it's not giving your brain the space that it needs to actually heal itself. When we develop a gambling addiction, our brains literally change in structure. And in recovery, they reset themselves, they change back. But if we're continuing to watch content, mind bet, be around gambling, we're not giving our brains that chance. It's like a diet version of the same problem, but you're still experiencing the end problem. How long after my last bet did I recover joy? I don't know that there was like a day that I woke up and I was like, I feel joy now. So I can't really answer well. Like I'd say after a couple of months, things started to get better. But some days are good, some days are bad. I don't know. I don't have a great answer to this. Like, it's gonna take a little bit to feel better. I think you start feeling better when you start becoming proud of the work that you're putting in and about the progress that you're making, and that happens over time. It's gonna be different for everyone. Mhm. In the beginning of my sobriety, even anti-gambling content made me wanna gamble. Yeah, if you are feeling really strong temptations to gamble because of what you're watching, it could be worth not watching anything at all. I know a guy that, like, his, like, claim to fame at our group meetings was that for the first, like, 2 or 3 months after he stopped gambling, all he did was sit in his backyard and watch the grass grow. Like, I kid you not, like crazy, just staring at the grass, watching it grow. And it's because he would get so tempted to gamble anytime he saw a sport or listen to the radio. It was a while ago, so it wasn't like he was scrolling on TikTok, but the idea still stands. It's like, don't do things that are going to tempt you. And if that means literally not looking at content anymore, anything related to gambling, if you have to block me, like feel free. Whatever it is that helps you. Do you think gambling addicts can develop other addictions more easily? We might be predisposed to addiction, so that's one way of looking at it. But I think that when you quit gambling, if you're trying to immediately supplement that feeling and you're going to try to find something that gives you that same thrill, you're going to find that the only things that do that are the addictive ones, right? Because it's this artificial high that's created by doing something outside of ourselves. So, yes, possibly, and especially towards the beginning of the recovery process. Do I hate Polymarket because you can bet on anything or just because it's immoral? It's the betting on everything part. And I think that with a Polymarket and a Kalshi, their like big sales pitch is that they're available in places where you otherwise couldn't gamble and that they're available to younger people. So I don't think that's really a good thing, but I think that the sheer volume of available wagers is the big problem. Great question, Jack. So yeah, there was a 9-month gap from February 2022 to November of 2022 where I didn't gamble. I was going to group meetings. I was trying to do better. I was trying to recover, but what was missing in my life was a sense of purpose. And so I started feeling bad for myself. And eventually, I just kind of said, life without gambling isn't any good. I don't like this. There's nothing good about this. I might as well just go back. I talked myself into it, and I went on a 12-hour gambling binge, putting myself into debt for the next 6 months, all in one day. Then I realized that what was missing was that sense of purpose, and I eventually found it through creating this content, along with the other things that I've done to stay clean, which I've, of course, put into that video that's in the description. But yeah, it was really just feeling purposeless in my life. This would be dope if you develop that addiction. Let me know. Let me know how you did it. Do you think casinos rope new people in by letting them win a little bit and then taking them to the cleaners? If that was like theoretically programmed in, that would be pretty predatory. There's no way of confirming that. I don't think that they have to do that. I think that just by sheer luck, you're playing a game where on any given round, it might be a 47% chance that you win. And so a lot of people are going to experience wins in the short term. But I don't know that they intentionally do it, but of course, early wins are a big flag for people getting hooked. I don't even enjoy anything anymore. All I used to do is gamble all day and night, whether it's tennis. Yep. Literally gambled on anything. You're in the right spot, my friend. You are in the right spot. I did the same thing. The good news is that that joy and the feeling of enjoyment do come back over time as we stop. So, as messed up as we've gotten ourselves, like we can get better and it does get better. Wondering how people get hooked. When you gamble, you get a hit of dopamine and other neurochemicals. If you keep gambling, you keep getting a bigger hit as you increase and increase and increase. But as that happens, you increase your baseline for what is good, what feels good. And so you reach a point where the only thing that can get you to that level is gambling. And so you develop a dependency on it to feel. And our bodies are adapted in such a way that hitting that baseline means that we're happy, which means that we are unhappy if we're not at that baseline. But the only way of getting there is by doing the addictive thing, and that's why we feel so compelled to do it despite the consequences, because we feel like we need to gamble to survive. You've interviewed a lot of people on your channel. Which were your favorite? I think that out of everyone that I interviewed, and everyone's done fantastic, the strongest speaker and most compelling story was probably, oops, it's probably Ben. Probably Ben you. Yeah. This guy ended up doing some time in prison, and he told just a very heartbreaking story about what had happened to his family. Great speaker. Ben Yu, Yew, was probably the best one that we've had on the channel. And I wish we did it in person because it was an online interview. Let's see. Gambling is the quickest way to feel miserable. Small wins don't matter. You want more and then you lose it all. There's no win that's big enough to satisfy the gambling addict. So every win just feels like an invitation to keep going. And eventually, all wins are future losses. Struggling bad, online slots was up 15K, lost it all plus 7K. I'm probably down. Never thought about self harm. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Definitely don't take that path. It's not going to cause any positive outcome. What I would recommend is really seeking out help. Let this be the time that enough is enough, because how many times has this already happened in the past and you're now just reaching this point, right? We've all been there. We've all made the mistakes of thinking that it would be different the next time, but let this be a lesson to know that it's not going to be different. You were up and then it was gone, because eventually, if we don't stop, we eventually lose everything. Why has sports betting become so dominant over other forms of gambling since the Supreme Court legalized it outside of Nevada? Exactly. It's within your question is the answer. It's because it's the legal one. I believe only 8 states have online casino, Jersey being one of them from the start. Woohoo! Thanks, Jersey. But it's just what's available to market right now. When states start legalizing internet casino, that's what all the commercials are going to be about, because it's a bigger profit margin. I don't think that it's any other reason except they're marketing what they are allowed to market. I love this guy. I love this guy. I can't imagine quitting something and then talking about it every day for the rest of my life. So there is no recovery, just making your past problems your identity. That sucks. Let's break it down, because I think it's actually pretty valid. When I was first considering quitting gambling and I was skeptical of everyone online, I would have thought the same thing. If you've ever heard of the 12-step support group called Gamblers Anonymous, step number 12 is to seek out and help the compulsive gambler who is still struggling. And I thought, like, man, like, who cares, right? I'll just recover, I'll get better, I'll live my life and it'll be good. But then you do it and you go on and you share your story and you make your past problems a little bit about your identity, the identity that you're willing to share online. And you reach this conclusion: I can use this to do something good. When you do something every day and it becomes such a problem in your life, you can let that haunt you. You can let that beat you. And maybe it has in your life as well. And maybe you're at that point where you're considering stopping, and maybe this is all just lashing out. I was there too. But when you really genuinely use it to help someone else and it makes a difference and you feel good about it, and you're like, wow, that's not so bad. I can use this so that someone else doesn't have to do the same thing. It makes me feel good and they don't have to like suffer. Really, you can view it in a negative way if you want, but to me, it's just a win-win. It's just a win-win. Let's see. Can you provide any context when a gambler says they're chasing a big win or a jackpot? Are they chasing a specific amount relative to what they're betting? Is it even definable? It definitely could be a specific amount. It's going to be up to each individual person. But the reality is, it's too hard for me to answer that. For me, a big win was never really defined. It was just an excuse so that I could keep going. But for some people, they might have a number in their heads. But then the question becomes, if they hit that number, are they even able to stop? Let's see. Oh, if there's someone that wants to share their story, please put them in contact with me. I can put my email in the chat. And if you hate me, you can also email me. It's always open line of communication. So have them send me a message. As somebody who struggled for 20 years, your channel has helped me abstain for 4 months now. Oh, thank you, my friend. I'm really happy to be a part of that, and congratulations on the 4 months clean. How did I celebrate early milestones? Let's see, the first, second, third year, we got the, like, things behind. My girlfriend made cards for me. That was really nice. But in the beginning, I think it was, like, chocolate cake. Everything I love chocolate cake. Big fan. If anyone knows me, they know I love chocolate cake. And so, it was a lot of just going out for a piece of cake, you know? Like, it wasn't too deep. There wasn't, like, a parade or confetti or anything like that. I went to my meetings, got my little coins or my little keychains, and then, went out for some cake. And so that was pretty cool. But I would say don't even worry about celebrating. You're gonna feel like life is getting better incrementally, and at a certain point, you're gonna stop even remembering you have to celebrate a certain day because it all feels like kind of the same thing. But that means that life's getting good. You have the ability to live it. Yeah, enjoying the little things. So absolutely. And if anyone has any questions about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're gonna be live for 9 minutes or so, 8 minutes or so here. Last question for this guy. What's your favorite brand of chocolate cake? You know what? You know what? I have an answer. So the answer is two parts. The first is that it was this old diner in New Jersey that no longer exists. So can't pick that anymore, but they had the best cake. Now, you know what cake's pretty good? The Walmart cake. You get a birthday cake from Walmart and it's the sheet cake where it's half vanilla, half chocolate with vanilla icing. It's pretty good. You don't expect to have the cake of your dreams over at Walmart for 15 bucks, but it's there. I don't know. It's all like that grocery store icing. It probably all comes from the same factory somewhere, but it's delicious. So definitely recommend. How often do you go live? I try to go live once a week here on the channel. I did miss last week. I was traveling, but I try to do Wednesdays for an hour. If that doesn't work, I usually will do another night in the week. So what is it now? It's Thursday, right? I already missed Wednesday this week. But it's usually Wednesday nights, and it's usually around this time. I do a live, usually back to back here and on TikTok. So later tonight, I'm going to be live over on TikTok. So if you're watching this stream live and you're like, wow, I haven't had enough of Rob yapping, then you can come over to the TikTok, which is, of course, as it is everywhere, the same channel name. Actually, you know what? It's not on Facebook. It didn't let me change the page name. It used to be Rob Odat, which was Rob one day at a time. But now we go by Gambling Awareness Online, Odat Gambling Awareness. Let's see. Based in the UK, do you have software available in the US to block access to gambling sites? So Gamban works in the US as well. They're making the push over here. That's why they're one of the sponsors of this channel as well. So the same kind of software that you use in the UK is used in the US. I've had a lot of conversations with their development team as well about how they do it, and I think like it's a great tool. Now, with that said, it's like you have to remember any kind of blocker, any kind of thing that you do to make it more difficult to access gambling is a speed bump, right? It's not ever going to be that if you don't want to gamble, you're not going to be able to because we're gambling guys, we're pretty resourceful people. But it's that when you are in recovery, you want to make it as difficult as possible to bet because then you reach this point where if it used to take you 10 seconds to bet, it now takes you 2 minutes to bet. You can think about the decision before you make it. Try to pause and think, is the decision that I'm about to make something I'm doing on impulse or something that I genuinely want to do? And usually when you ask yourself that question, you reach a good point and you can actually stop yourself. Have I ever met someone who ended on a high, like wanting to quit? I've met people that temporarily ended on a high. Anyone that's maintained it, no. I really haven't. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not even lying. Like, if I knew someone, I would just tell you. I just really don't. Are you in South Jersey? So right now I'm in Philly, but I'm from South Jersey. But many of the videos are from Right Choice Recovery. Yeah, so that's the treatment center that I've partnered with. They're linked in the description for anyone interested in learning more about them. But so I'm in Philly. It's generally like the tri-state area that they typically help, but now they're moving more online as well, and they can offer services through telehealth. So yeah, they're my squad. I didn't see anything about this bill trying to outlaw prediction markets betting on wars, but it seems like it's not really gonna move the needle much, right? Like, all right, yeah, let's get rid of like the morally bad things on this platform to gamble on. Like that's a positive, but like they'll just move the market. The market's just gonna move to a different prop, right? Like it's gonna stop maybe the idea that someone could inflict harm on someone else in order to win a bet, which is definitely a good thing. But for the perspective of the gambling addict, doesn't change very much about what we're going to end up doing, right? Uh, yeah. So if anyone has questions about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, feel free to ask them. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee. And if you don't have any questions, just say random comments because we're going to be on for another 4 minutes and we're going to see if we can get to that 1 hour mark. That sweet, sweet 1 hour mark. We like it. Here we go. This is a tough situation. So you've taken money from the wife in order to gamble it. I'm very sorry to hear it. Now, this is just a recommendation from someone who's in recovery. It's not necessarily what you have to do. I would tell your wife and I would seek out help because if this has happened once, chances are it's going to happen again in the future. Um, be honest and rip the band-aid off is what I would do. Peter, thanks for being here. You're a consistent commenter in the chat, and I really appreciate you. Yeah, I think it's like it's not a bad thing, right? But it's not like the headline news for the gambling addiction world that I guess the senator might want it to be. We are really only going to see things change after enough problems have happened as a result of it. And so, what I think it takes to change the course of gambling expansion in America is someone influential's kid getting a gambling addiction and maybe taking their own life. And until that happens, it's just going to be, oh, it's only 1%. It's only a few people. Everything's fine. Let people do what they want. And of course, we're going to hear those arguments. But at the end of the day, this is a dangerous and addictive product, and it's not labeled as such, and it's marketed like it's candy. All I can do is come on and share my story and hopefully help people avoid making the same mistake that I did. But I don't think we're heading down a very positive path, I will say. Do I think Trump gambles? I have no idea. I know that he's one of the only people on earth that's managed to bankrupt numerous casinos, which is insane. It's a very difficult thing to bankrupt. But that's really where my comments end on it. Things have been going better since Lunar New Year's. Congratulations, my friend. Let's keep it rolling. Oops. How did you find motivation to get back to life? I don't know if I can do it. I struggle 1 month already. I mean, the thing is, you don't need motivation. You just need a plan, and then you just do the plan. If I only did things when I was motivated, I would never get anything done. You don't need to find motivation. You just need to wake up every day and know what you're going to be doing. Put your life into basically a calendar. Suffer through the couple of months where you're going to feel a little bit of depression, a little bit of withdrawal, and on the other end of it, it's a life that you might actually want to live. That wasn't the most positive or cheerful thing I could have possibly said, but that's the reality. If you have to say that everything's fine, you're probably not fine. Absolutely. I would say that, how many times have you said that to yourself? Like, oh, it's fine. There's a lot of mental gymnastics that goes into this, right? We reach a point where we're like, oh, everything's fine. No worries. Like, don't worry about me. I'll be okay. All I need is a big win and then I'll stop. Lots of excuses to keep gambling. And, ask yourself, are you fine or are you saying this to justify making another bet? That's where it is. All right. So, a couple more things before we wrap up. I'm Rob. I'm a gambling addict. I make videos here on the channel aimed at helping you to avoid going down the same path with your life that I went down with mine. And if that's of interest to you, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Doesn't matter if you love me, hate me, don't know me, don't care about me. If you want to stop gambling or you or a loved one has a gambling problem, this is the page for you. This video is brought to you by Right Choice Recovery. Check them out in the description alongside a video called How to Stop Gambling, which lays down everything that I've done for the last 3 years to get and stay clean from gambling. Thank you all for being here, and we'll do our regular sign off as well. Let's keep getting better together, one day at a time. Good night, everybody.